Morning. A lot of these things have to be done before the import as well, because they are so strict. Unfortunately, it doesn't fit in the garage because it is too big. They're big, they're chunky. Tinkering in my workshop today is going to lead me. Squeeze it in. Not sure about this. This is sketchy. Sketchy. Morning. The blunt reality of importing cars and the unpredictability that it brings along as well, because needless to say, my personal favourite that I've done throughout the year or so that I've started doing it kind of seriously is the one that's taken the longest to sell. It did come at a bad time, let's be honest. It came at a time when the Iranian-US issues in the Middle East, which bumped up fuel prices considerably, and here in Spain had a bigger effect because it's gone from unleaded being more expensive than diesel to now diesel being more expensive than unleaded, which kind of goes the same as the rest of Europe. This obviously meant that my 320D E93 is not only a sort of, it's right-hand drive, so it's already a niche market, or you've got less people that will be interested in it, but with the problem with the diesel. Now let's go back to why I do the imports specifically. I buy cars, rescue them, ones that need a little bit of love, the ones that you can see potential in, and then bring them over here, turn it into a project car, keeps me busy, gives me something to do, learning on new cars, doing different things, and then when that's done, I just do the same again. So it's nice to make a bit of a profit. I try and make a bit of profit, obviously, in each one of them, but I've put my time and effort into it. So you could say that it's just paying for my work. Now, the issue with this one, like I say, is potentially the diesel thing. It also could be the fact it's convertible and people are a bit wary because things can go wrong, but I think it's more the diesel thing. Now, the ones that have sold the quickest, which makes me think it's the diesel thing, the CLK compressor that I bought, bright red, it was the Avant-Garde, had the nice wheels on it. That sold within 2 weeks. The BMW Z4 also sold about 2 weeks. Both petrol, both sold to Spanish and not locally, which they've come a long way to get hold of that car, because my way of thinking is offer a car to somebody for less than what they would pay for them here in Spain, because the prices of left-hand drive cars here in Spain compared with a right-hand drive on Spanish plates is 50 to 30% difference. So, for example, the E93, 12,000 euros for left-hand drive with that many kilometers on. The right-hand drive equivalent, I'm trying to get over 6. It was near 8, to be honest, but we're getting to a point now where I just need a project. I need a project, something to do. So that has been quite a long time in my possession, that E93. So my worksheet, basically, what I'm going off now is I'm going to try and get something that 2012 or newer, because I like to keep within that 14-year sort of bracket. Ideally, you want much newer, but I also have a budget that I like to keep to. I like to only spend a couple of grand on the original vehicle. That being said, some are a bit more. And then you've got the import on top of that, which ranges from 1400 to 1600 to 1700 on that age and caliber of vehicle. Then you've got obviously the repairs. So you're going to have things like your bodywork. That might include having to buy body panels, bumpers. Obviously you've got paint, clear, all your bits that people don't think about, your sandpapers, your sand pads, your degreasers, your thinners, everything in between. Then, as I've found with many cars, there's always hidden little things, and I try and I do get every car back to OEM or OEM plus. So there's cars that have needed rear shocks like the E93. Obviously you've got tyres. A lot of these things have to be done before the import as well, because they are so strict. The car has to be immaculate, nothing wrong with it. Literally standard from factory as well. You cannot put a tow bar on the car. For the importers, you have to have it homologated if you want extras that aren't factory, and they have to be by a Spanish registered installer. So that's roof racks, even body kits, aftermarket exhausts. Wheels have to be on spec sheet in your door card, has to be the right size. Tires have to match rear axle, and then the front axles have to match, and they have to be the exact size that's written on that spec sheet. You can't vary what you want and put on what you want without it being spec'd down. So that being said, you can imagine the standard the car has to be before you import it has to be right up there. And then once it's imported, and then you can get it sort of up for sale, then you can start like making it look a bit nicer, you know, like trim the inside like I have with the E93. I've put Alcantara instead of it wasn't that badly scratched. It's got like a sort of scratched look to it. An aluminium sort of interior, I don't know the name of it. But things like that, those things, they're all right, you can do that. So this week, friends are coming, so there's not much going to be done, but today is going to be E93 prep day, just in case. I may get a part exchange deal going for it. I am taking a boring B-class in, but it's a Spanish national, left-hand drive, but it does have some work need doing to it, but it's a diesel. So it's going to be basically get it and ship it out as quick as possible. So I won't be taking much money for it. Even if I got $3,000 for it, I'd be happy just to progress, because the C180 man, is this week going to a Mercedes specialist to see if we can find out why it still vibrates like mad when you accelerate under load. Everything has been done to this car. This is one of those nightmare imports. I bought it on a whim when I was over in the UK after buying another car, the Z4. That shows how long ago it was. Because it was €1,000. And I thought, there's money to be made there. And I will be lucky to make my money back on that. But it needs to be imported because it is worthless in the UK, even though underneath everything's been changed apart from the issue that we still can't find. So bringing it over here, there is value in it. Probably about $5,000. That would potentially may get my money back, fingers crossed. Or I might just offload it for very cheap, but we'll see. I have got people interested. Always pick them at here now that they know that I'm sort of into this. So I've got someone that's gonna give us a call because he's interested in importing something, so I can potentially help him with that. I might actually do the driving to go and get it, use a company still to import it because it works out a hell of a lot cheaper than using doing it myself, and the time it takes, and the Spanish speaking, blah, 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 it's just a lot easier to do a company let do it for the sake of a few €100. So I'd maybe like charge him just like, I'll bring it over. If there's any lights that need changing, because obviously you need to adjust the lights to go around to the side. Give it the usual ITV check over and make sure everything's going to be spot on, ready for the import side of it, because the tyres need to be checked. Obviously, when they import the car for the first time on an ITV, we'll even check the height of the car. I'm not saying if it's been lowered or not, but they will make sure that every corner is at the height that it's meant to be from factory. That'll then show if there's any issues with the suspension that they can't see necessarily just by looking at suspension, and they will fail it in a heartbeat. So yeah, we will have a look into that one for him. There's also someone else that's interested in getting a camper. That is a minefield to import, because campers, motorhomes, have a tendency to everybody's put solar panels on, tow bars on, extra plug sockets, air conditioning, heaters. You know, there's so much that people like to do to pimp out their motorhomes. If you're getting one from the UK and you're bringing it over, you really do not want one that has got anything other than, I would, in inverted commas, manufactured standards setup, because they will fail it unless you've got it homologated, and it's an absolute minefield. Now, with that being said, even manufacturer standard, because I can't say OEM, because you get a chassis from Ford, it goes to Swift, for example, they build it all up. You then need that technical sheet from Swift on top of the Ford one, because you're going to need to show that everything that was built in factory is standard. Now, I guarantee a lot of people won't have that Swift technical detail sheet. I don't have it for mine. Thankfully, mine was already imported from France before I bought it, and it's left-hand drive. So that's good. One less thing to worry about. Not that I'm thinking of selling it, but there's a nice little profit in that, because I got that for cheap. Unfortunately, it doesn't fit in the garage because it is too big, but if it did, it would be getting a full respray. It does need brakes and some paintwork. I would love to have fitted it in here, but it's just not going to happen unless I put a huge garage door up there, which I don't think the budget allows, not after everything else that's been spent. So yeah, going back to that, motorhomes. So cars, yeah, standard. They're actually relatively easy to import. Motorhomes and campers, really difficult if they've got anything done to them. Still possible, just a few more hoops. Finally, motorbikes has always been on my agenda. Now, with motorbikes, when you go resell it, there's no right-hand drive issue, is there? It's a motorbike. Yeah, you might have someone that's particular and they'll go through and they'll see that it's import, it's come from the UK, and they'll go, I want a Spanish one, that's fine. You would argue generally, if they're getting a good deal on something that is £2,000 more expensive, I'm talking newer motorbikes as well, because £2,000 you could probably buy a motorbike 7 years old in the UK. But there is obviously a few issues that you've got to bear in mind. The profit margins are smaller. You are not buying one that is damaged or crashed or broken or anything like that and driving it back, that is for sure. You wouldn't want one that's crashed anyway. So you're buying a near on mint one in the UK, bringing it here, which means you need to buy well, and the import is still actually quite expensive. So the profit margins are so small. So the only way that I'm gonna end up doing motorbikes is if I got like a 3-bike trailer. Now, going over there, buying 3 bikes, bringing them over here is the best way to do it. So you've got fuel there, fuel back, you've got to take into account. Ferry there, ferry back, bring that aspect into it as well. So that's where costs rising. Your import on a new bike or a newer bike could still be over €1,000. So that's one thing to bring in as well. And the amount of times that I've kept on looking into motorbikes, really thinking like I should do it, there's always been a few problems. Yes, okay, let's get me trailer. Boom, there's a trailer. To make the most money, you want to be buying motorbikes that are popular everywhere. The most popular motorbikes, I'd say, are probably the R1200 or R1250s or R1300 GS BMWs. They are widely popular throughout various age groups. You can tour with them, you can go out with your friends with them. It's extremely popular bike. That then brings another level of issue is it's big, it's heavy, and if you're bringing 3 back, you're gonna need a big trailer, which I don't think my license will allow. On a standard UK license, you're allowed to pull 750 kilos. Now, that's total, so 3 bikes and a trailer, you're gonna be unlikely within that. Then there's a stupid rule that I can pull more, but it has to be within a certain, it's not 3.5 ton, it's something like that. But the BMW isn't allowed to pull a certain amount with my license the way it is at the minute. Now, I should have really looked this up, but one thing I do know is there's a new law coming in, and it involves motorhomes, electric vehicles, where your 3.5 ton license is going to be upped at some point in Europe to 4.25 tons. That then could possibly allow more towing. I don't know. Best look into that. But basically, yeah, going back to costs with motorbikes, there's small margins. The trailer, €2,000 straight off the bat. So you're gonna have to do a few trips just to recoup that money, which is why it's always been one of those things that I've kind of just stepped aside from. I'd love to buy a motorbike for myself and bring 2 over. So then the way it works out, the bike ends up getting bought for free with the profit from the other one, because I'd buy maybe not an 8 grand GS, but something. I like the RS, for example, had one, loved it. You can now pick them up in the UK for about 4 grand. So we shall see, but that is a little bit of an insight in a nutshell. The pitfalls, expenditure of importing cars. And it is not an exact science, that is for sure. And I do try originally to do 2 a year, and I ended up doing 4 one year, and then had a 6-month period where I've still got 1 of them. So that just goes to show that it doesn't always go to plan, especially as the one that's outside is my favorite, and I think the better looking and ticks more boxes for people over here. Diesel. If that was a big engine, 3 litre, straight 6, petrol, it would have gone straight away. But it also would have been more difficult to sell because I would have wanted to keep it. So I've got these big rear tyres from the X5 that, to be honest, probably never end up back on the X5. It's one of those things, you go to change the rear set, you keep a good one thinking, oh, well, that'll come in handy. It might do, you never know. But by the time it does, they'll probably pull you at test station because the date on these, for example, is 2017. However, they're big, they're chunky. The idea I had was I was going to stack the 3 that I've got, put a glass top on, and got somewhere to have a drink. However, I don't think I've got the space with all my tools around this end, and then obviously cars in and out. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen. So, I was going to buy one of the Viva racks, and I just haven't got round to it. I've got friends coming tomorrow, and I'd like to make it look a bit tidier so it's not outside in the patio area. So I've got this thick cable here. Plan, potentially, is to get little cut sections off that big, say, and hang them from my RSJ rafter, small, whatever they are, bits up there, because I want to keep them. I still want to do that idea, and down the line it may end up happening. But I've got these up here, so what I could do is I could loop it round, loop the tyres round, and just have them up there or up here. I haven't yet decided, but they're just beasts. Absolute beasts. 315, 35, 20s. Pretty heavy. That is where tinkering in my workshop today is going to lead me. How is the best way to connect? And bear in mind, this is going to have to be done while holding the tyre, because it's going to have to loop around, and I'm somehow going to have to crimp these together. I need like a U-bolt is what I need. Don't know if I've got any, because I'll need 3 or 6, ideally 6, and then you can crimp them one way and then do the other one like that, so it just does not come loose. But we'll have a little play around and see if I can sort something out, and then hang them up, because that's the only thing I can think of I can actually do temporarily anyway. So first idea was a big nut there, and it's actually on really tight. However, same principle, same problem is, yeah, it's not going to come out, is while I'm up there, I have to somehow then, while holding really heavy, about 22 kilos I think, tie that without any U-bolts. Got one more idea. Don't know how dodgy it is or not. I've just measured the gap between that and the roof, and it's 70 centimeters. The tyre is 72. So I'm thinking, rest it up on the ledge, mallet, squeeze it in, and depending how tight it's in, I would potentially just do that. Try that. Typically, I've just put all this stuff here. Trying to be better organized. You have to come down, and then this slides in and down. It comes out. Mind the light. Nearly did that yesterday. What do I do? How do I do this? Left hand. Ooh, right. Frickin' hell. Not sure about this. Whew. Not sure about this. This is sketchy. Oh. Can I get it? Can I get it? Sketchy. You know what will happen as well? If this tyre falls, it's going to bounce into my ladder and I'm going to go right to the floor. Am I going to be able to switch hands? Try it. Probably not. I was thinking I could have done it from that mezzanine floor there, but even if I get that one in, I've got two more. Whew. Failed. Let's try this again. Not sure if this is better or worse. I've just decided I think it's going to work shit. This is great. Making a mess of my lovely back balls as well.
Oh, I made a mess. Are we there yet? Yeah.
That was a complete fail. I'm actually now thinking even with a rack, they're going to stick out far too much. Because I was going to get the rack pretty much where the top of this ladder is, on this side here, bum, or even on this side. But I'm thinking, pretty big. Might have to think of another place to put them. Big, heavy bastards. Oh, I'll just buy a rack and just chuck them up there, get some big bolts in the wall. They're just going to have to linger around the patio for now. There ain't no way I'm going to be able to tie U-bolts on a ladder, one hand with a drill, holding it, wheel up, tyre up. No chance. That was an epic fail, wasn't it? Standing here waiting for a brainstorm and nothing's happening. One will fit underneath the shelving unit. One. And there's three. It's a shame I can't get the table. Unless I make the table out there, it's not a bad idea. Get a bit of glass and just make my table. And then everybody, which is just me, is happy. Another short week, another couple of jobs, couple of failures. It's just all updates at the minute. But tell you what though, there is some exciting stuff coming. We've got 2 more weeks till the lift is installed. Good news on the B-Class Merc. He's still up for that trade. However, we are waiting for a bit of paperwork, his side, and nothing can be done until then. So with that said, the C-Class, the C180, that is in this week. And there may be an update on that before the end of this video. However, as it stands now, friends are here tomorrow. Nothing more I can do. Failed at that. just gonna order something, try to be a cheapskate. It is looking a lot tidier now. Got all this arranged here. Obviously that's the same. This is from last week, the lights. The TV's now sorted. It was in demo mode for some reason, probably because it got wet. Trying to clear out these. There's now space to get at here without this stuff, which was there because I've moved my paint station to here. I've got another holder to go there for the spray gun. I've managed to fit nice and neatly under there, the aircon. That is the flue for it though. So the flue needs, I need to drill a cord through the wall, stick a couple of grates on that, and then get that ramped up ready for August, which lands at the end of this week. And if it's anything like July, wow, yeah. Although today it's only 31, so it's not too bad. It's actually been quite nice in the mornings and daytime the last couple of days. However, we have got some hot weather coming on Monday. But yeah, that's an easy core drill. I'll buy a core drill because I'm gonna need them from events, which are going either end. But if there's no more news on the C180, I'll catch you next week for another update. Hopefully, a bit more promising on the E90 in the B-Class. Like, subscribe. I know there's not much going on, but there will be. It's just teething problems, trust me. Eventually, we'll get back into cars, start fixing them up, start having problems, start fixing problems, and that's it for now. Adios.